Hey, I know I'm really behind on everything. This pitch stuff is turning out to be a nightmare, so this is going to seem a bit rushed. And also, I plan next week on having my second Twilight Sucks episode, and the week after that, hopefully, will be my next Critiquing the Critics comeback. Anyway, this is pretty much my review memoirs. It's where I talk about the reviews I did, deleted scenes or alternate scenes I'll put here. Unfortunately, in this case, there are no deleted scenes, but there are scenes I have written that didn't make it. I don't think I filmed, or at least I can't find any evidence of me filming. So the two reviews I'm going to be talking about today are Shock, my very first official review, and The Nostalgia Critic, my first Critiquing the Critics episode. So first, let's go into Shock. This actually was a major surprise. I did not plan on reviewing this movie. I expected to like it. I like most of Mario Bava's stuff. The only things I really haven't liked of his were Roy Colt and Winchester Jack, which I think is worse than Shock. Baron Blood, which I didn't dislike, I was just lukewarm on. And I changed my opinion on that $5 for an August Moon, I think it's called. Sometimes I'm just indifferent to it, other times I really dislike it. But I did not expect to dislike this movie at all. In fact, my first review was planned to be Demons 3 The Ogre, which is ironically directed by his son Umberto Bava, who I don't hate anywhere near as much as I make out to be. In fact, I actually like the guy. But that ended up being done later on. But so obviously this literally became like 2 days. I watched this before I decided I was going to review it. And it was a bummer because I really love Mario Bava. He's one of my favorite directors. As for the review itself, it's okay. I mean, it was fine considering it was my first, but my acting isn't very good. The editing is pretty bad. I reuse one clip twice, I noticed, and I keep looking down like I'm doing now. I also mispronounced a few words. Memorable, I pronounce as like memorable. For some reason, I have difficulty saying that. And rabid dogs, I pronounce rabid dogs or something like that. That's another one I can't really say very well. Also, if you noticed, and this isn't a mistake, but I guess it could be perceived as such, when I mention rabid dogs, I hold up a DVD that says Kidnapped. Same movie, just different title. I just prefer the Rabid Dogs title. It's the Kidnapped, I think, is what the other title is, and that's really generic. But in terms of deleted scenes, like I said, I don't really have. If I did ever have any deleted scenes, I don't have any anymore. But I do have some alternate scenes for you, or scenes that I had written, but they didn't make it to the final cut. The first one, I kind of had sort of a scene on this, but I originally was supposed to expand on a little bit more. Here is the exact quote. Even the style is awkward and absent, feeling more like an untalented but inspired kid than an uninspired, seasoned professional. And then the other two are flat-out deleted scenes, although you see a little bit of one start before it cuts away. I'm pretty much saying I like two scenes. One involves the kid running and suddenly turning into someone else. It's quite shocking. And the other is when I go into the slapping bit. But you actually see the clip that I'm referring to, I just don't talk about it. And finally, Shock isn't the last Bava film that I must venture into. I haven't seen Dr. Foot and the Bikini Bombs, but I have seen Roy Colt and Winchester Jack. Bava directing comedy is even scarier than Marco. I don't know why I ended up taking that out, but I did. Like Roy Colt I consider to be worse than this. Italian comedies just are not my thing. And I haven't seen, like I said, I still haven't seen that Dr. Goldfoot, and I probably won't. Maybe one day, but not anytime soon. And I think that's really it for this one. So, to the Nostalgia Critic, my review of him. And if you have a sharp eye, you might just notice that I just made an edit. Well, that's because I just remembered something and I wanted to add with the Nostalgia Critic. He wasn't the first video reviewer I've seen, but he's the one that really got me into video reviewers. In fact, I owe most of this to him. But I think the first reviews of his I saw, I can't remember exactly, it was either Surf Ninjas, Kazam, or North. I want to say it's either Kazam or Surf Ninjas. But I just thought they were wonderful. I really enjoyed the 2 weeks where I was going through all of his videos. And there really hasn't been anything like that since. Maybe the movie preview critic. But he doesn't have as much stuff, and the movie preview critic didn't start out as good as he became. And the angry video game nerd, same way. But, so yeah, I have no regrets giving the nostalgia critic a 4-star rating. I think I'm not going to say he's the best, but he's my personal favorite. I got this idea from Spazzy, who you've seen in probably a few clips in my videos. He cameos a lot. He reviewed me in his own review gimmick. And he had done this review of the Nostalgia Critic's review of Congo. It wasn't very good. It was just him watching the review and occasionally throwing a smart-ass comment, and it got a lot of negative hype. And in fact, I think he even took it down. But I thought it was an interesting idea, and I even mentioned, because everybody was being mean, so I tried to be a lot nicer, and I said that, it's an interesting idea. And he said something like, it's funny you mentioned that, because I do plan on doing something where I review the reviewers. Unfortunately, by that point, I had decided I was going to do that. So it's like, oh no, how much of a ripoff am I going to come across? But he took it well, and so eventually I did this, and it was actually the easiest video I think I edited at the time, just because it's really just cutting off to me. It looks kind of choppy, but I think it turned out better than the Shock review. It's nice because it's only like 5-6 minutes long, so it's an easy watch, and I'm proud of it overall, but I don't like some of my acting, and probably the worst is when I do this big evil laugh. Originally I was going to plan like lightning strikes in the background, but unfortunately I just didn't have the software to do that, and I gave up, so it just looks really bad and over the top. If I were to redo this review, and I plan on actually going back and redoing some of them one day, I'm definitely going to see if I can cut that out, or unless I could do the lightning strikes. But it turned out alright. It's different from a lot of my more recent ones. There's a lot more voiceovers in my recent ones, and so all in all, they're decent starts. They aren't great, but I enjoyed doing them, even though they weren't easy. So that's it for this episode. Like I said, next week I plan on a Twilight Sucks episode. Week after that, critiquing the critics again. So, see y'all then, and wish me luck on this freaking pitching thing.